Boelter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Hey, Rawson, you're watching NORBCam.
NORBCam.
You're watching NORBCam.
What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on this Blue Friday, the day before the huge playoff game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. And as you know by seeing the title of this segment, this is another episode of Behind Enemy Lines, where I go talk to a fan of the opponent we're about to play and get some inside info, the dirt, the stuff that we may not know about from the headlines of what to expect from our upcoming opponent. And now, not like this is a team we don't know anything about. I mean, this is the Los Angeles Rams, for crying out loud. We play them twice a year, and this year we just so happen to have that lucky benefit of playing them a third time, which scares the living crap out of me, to be totally honest with you. But I'm going to find out what else I need to know about what to expect from this Los Angeles Rams team on this third go-round. So I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Feel free to blow up the chat. I see you guys are already in there. I see a bunch of Rams fans here. Must be friends of Trent, my guest, who I'm going to bring in here in just a moment. But before I do, I just want to remind everybody, we will be taking phone calls a little bit later after we get through our discussion. So I do have a phone number here you can call in on. And as well, if you are on Discord, which, by the way, we just got official partnership with Discord, so pretty awesome thing for our Discord group. You can join the live stream there, and we'll be taking calls from there for about the next 45 minutes or so, the length of this show. So before we get started, before I bring Trent, my special guest, I want to just announce again, this week I'm very happy that I've got Daniel Dovin of Dovin Real Estate, who's jumped in as a sponsor to help support my channel. He's a big fan of the show, and so I just want to bring a quick shout out to him. So Daniel Dovin, there he is, good-looking guy, Dovin Real Estate. So if you are in the area in Seattle looking to buy or sell a house or just have questions about real estate, give him a call. Daniel Dovin at 206-310-3362. His email and his website is also in the description of this video. And if you go there, you would be able to set up a consultation for free. And if you do, you will be entered into a drawing for a Cortez Kennedy rookie card. All right, so give Daniel a call if you have any of those needs in the Seattle area. If you're from Los Angeles and you're a Los Angeles Rams fan, just stay there. You don't need to come up here. No, I'm just kidding. If you are looking to move to the beautiful Pacific Northwest, Daniel can help you out. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the heart of things. In Behind Enemy Lines, my special guest here, Trent Loomis of LA Rams Talk. Trent, it's always good to see you, man. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, good to be on the show, Norb. Thanks for having me. And I also have to say, Daniel Dovin is the bomb. So, I mean, everyone knows about him in LA too, so he's a big deal. So, I mean, solid sponsorship with Daniel Dovin.
I appreciate that, man. Daniel appreciates it greatly too. All right, so Trent, this is not only our third time playing each other. This is you and I, our second time going behind enemy lines, because we did this back in our week, our whatever week that was when we first faced each other. We didn't do one for the last one because I was out of town, but here we are. Matchup number 3, you and I going around a second time. So, there's not too much unknown about these two teams. We've seen so much of each other. You guys know who our personnels are. We know who your personnel is, what your strengths are. However, there's that big question mark that everybody's wondering is what the heck is going on with the quarterback situation in Los Angeles? Obviously, Jared Goff with the injury, the surgery, and then you got John Wolford, who had a very impressive game against the Cardinals, but who is going to be playing? They are keeping the cards very close to the vest. So what is going on, man? Can you give us any insight as to who's going to be under center for the Rams tomorrow?
Well, that is the $1 million question. And I tell you, you think there's two Americas. There are two bases of Rams fans. There's the Wolford, the Wolf Pack, and then there are the Gophers. And it's really interesting to see the Rams community kind of torn apart with these two quarterbacks. But in terms of, I guess, trying to have your best guess on who's going to start, I think the thinking is there's no way Jared Goff's thumb will be healed and ready to grip and throw a football on a cold and possibly rainy game this weekend. He had surgery. It won't even have been 2 weeks since he had surgery. Drew Brees broke his thumb on Aaron Donald the season before, was out for a month. So it seems kind of unrealistic that Jared Goff would play. However, then there are clips of him at practice slinging it around. You see this footage of him and you're thinking that he has a broken thumb. So
is that really him, or is that some guy wearing a Goff jersey just pretending to be him just to throw off the scent, for the Seattle coaching staff?
It's totally him, because you could tell it's such a smooth, powerful throw. So it's Jared Goff, and all the passes I was throwing are getting intercepted. So it's Jared Goff. But he and Wolford, what they do in practice is that they take their reps and their snaps simultaneously. So basically, they both get the ball, they drop back, they throw. They get the ball, they drop back, they throw. So it's kind of looks like how they always practice, like in the preseason and stuff, and in camp. And I think Sean McVay feels very comfortable with having John Wolford start. So I don't think there's this immense pressure for the Rams and McVay to really rush Goff back and be like, okay, you're 80%, but we're going to play you because our backup quarterback is Charlie Whitehurst. You know what I mean? It's
there's a name from the past, Clipboard Jesus.
I was thinking about that game in like 2011, I think it was, when the Rams played the Sam Bradford 11 or 12 or 13, where Bradford played against Whitehurst, and the winner went to the playoffs, and they were still, I think Seattle won, but they were 8-8, and it was just the crappiest game ever.
Are you talking about the And I think we ended up being 7-9.
7-9,
yeah. But that was some spectacular times.
Hey, anyone wants to have a blast, go look up that box score and just look at the names on both teams in there. It's terrible. It's terrible. But I think that Wolford, the drop off in McVay's eyes isn't that deep or steep. Wolford is kind of like a mini Russell Wilson, or like a Russell Wilson, with the being able to be mobile in the pocket and run around and make plays with his feet. So there is that element. There's also the element, it's enticing that, you have the Pete Carroll has one game of tape on John Wolford. So it's not a lot, it's something, but Wolford adds a completely different dimension than what the Seahawks have faced against the Rams. But in terms of my opinion, if Goff's thumb is good and fine and healthy and no problem, he can grip and throw and make all the throws, he'll play. Right? So That's all it comes down to. I think I'm 50-50. I think part of me thinks it's unlikely he's going to return that soon from thumb surgery, but that's why they had it the day after the Seattle game when he broke it, because they wanted to get him back for the playoffs.
So let me ask you, if you could just be the coaching staff and make the choice, who would you have playing?
I would okay, so if Goff's thumb is 100%, right? If it's not a issue with health, I would put Goff in there. And I'm probably going to piss off half the Rams fans out there, but Goff has turned the ball over a lot this year, and he hasn't played like he did 2 years ago and 3 years ago. And he's a turnover machine. He's caused that interception to Diggs in the last game we played was like the worst decision and throw. And that's a Goff interception. That's not a Russell Wilson.
If that had been after the thumb injury, because I think that was before the thumb injury, I could actually almost rationalize, that thumb must have really been off. That's why he threw that's such a horrible pass. But the thumb had nothing to do with it. It was just a terribly great pass for us to intercept.
I mean, it wasn't even close. And those are the types of interceptions that Goff makes, are like these incredibly boneheaded throws where Russell Wilson, when Darius Williams picked him off twice, one was he jumped the route and made a great extended catch, and the other one in the end zone where he split off coverage and got the other guy. Like, those were not bad throws by Russell Wilson. Those were just good plays by the defender. But Goff just makes, like, the throws are just mind-boggling terrible.
So you say that in one breath, but then you say you would still go with Goff if he's more or less 100%.
Yes, because if you look at that last game where the Rams lost, the game wasn't lost on that turnover by Goff. The game was lost when Seattle's defense stopped the Rams on 1st and goal on like the 1 or 2 yard line. That's when the game was lost, because that's a touchdown and the Rams walked away with nothing. That changes the whole game. The Rams don't lose 20-9. At that point in time, it's like 16-6 or 16-10. Rams are winning, right? So Goff makes a bad decision, but he still plays a decent game throughout the whole game. He still can make the throws. And, he's played, the first game against Seattle, he had a good game. So, I think you have to look at the consistency of Goff. He's been in big games before. He doesn't make plays with his feet, but if he can just limit if he doesn't have a turnover, then the Rams, I think, really have a good shot. So I would take Goff, but if Wolford played, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
So, it's not like, oh gosh, Russell Wilson's backup is in and there it goes. It's gone. Right. It's done.
Well, and that's the thing. I think if I had to choose, I would be with you. I would rather see Goff in there. Not because I think he's the better quarterback, but because I think we'll have a better shot being ready for him. What I saw out of Wolford, now again, that's the only tape anyone has of him in terms of a recent game, and it's what we saw him do with his feet was very impressive. He didn't have any throwing touchdowns, but he threw for almost 230 or 250 yards or something. So he looked pretty impressive, which scared me, man, because this is not something they're used to from LA. So I guess if I had to choose, I would go with you, man, because I feel like I'd rather have an expected Goff and just plan on doing what we need to do to shut him down, or at least minimize the damage from him, and hope he does some of those Goff type throws, than to get the wild card, Wolford in there and have him do things we're not prepared for. At least that's my feeling as a Seahawks fan. But you're sticking with Goff, though.
I mean, it is enticing. Wolford's enticing because he can scramble. And what Russell Wilson always does, and you guys have seen this a billion times, is the play breaks down. He's running around the backfield, and then you look and there's 20 yards of open field in front of him. And he always gets 3rd down and 12, and he always runs and gets it. And Wolford can do that too. And that's the cool thing. And also Wolford threw more deep balls in that game than Goff had in previous, 3 or 4 games. So if you get Wolford, he's going to scramble, so you have to respect it. And he's also going to take shots down the field and extend the field, whereas Goff was really just taking the short and intermediate. Wolford will take all 3 levels. So, but at the same time, can Wolford played against Arizona defense? Okay, guys, let's just call it what it is, right? He didn't play against Seattle defense in Seattle in the playoffs. So there's a big difference there. I think he still would play good, but, Seattle's defense has come on strong. And I sure hope Jamal Adams doesn't play. And if he does, I hope a Rams player just gives him a bump in the shoulder and knocks him out. That's all.
And I think that's the big injury question is between the two teams. You got the question about Goff's injury and Jamal Adams. Unlike the Rams, Jamal Adams is not being at all secretive about his feelings about playing. He said in a press conference he is going to play no matter what. I think even if his arm was hanging by a ligament, he'd probably still be out there as long as he could run. So we'll see. But I'm pretty confident that he's going to be in this game. So
can you imagine if you didn't have Jamal Adams this year?
Well, we didn't have him. We didn't have him for 4 games for a stretch of time, and that was during a time of the season where we had a lot of our struggles. So I do remember a time when we didn't have Jamal Adams, and it wasn't pretty. So I'm more than happy that we got him back, especially given what we gave up to have him. But I just love the guy. The energy he has on the field, the energy he has just talking about the game. Listen to him when he's mic'd up. If you haven't heard that, you got to check it out because it is something else. He is such an inspiring, he's like the Tasmanian devil. I mean, that's what I best equate him to. He's just ready to tear up anything in front of him. So that's great. I love it. So we're happy to have him on our side of the line of scrimmage. So let's talk a little bit more about this. We'll move ahead from the quarterback situation. So you talked a little bit about why you guys lost that game 2 weeks ago. But we're now on this one. You guys won the first one. We won the second one. It's the rubber match. It's game 3, so anything goes at this point. What's going to be different this time than the last time we played you? I know there's some availability of certain players. Cam Akers comes to mind as being we didn't play him the last time, and now I understand he'll be back. But what's going to be different, you think, besides the quarterback in this game than the last time we saw you when we did defeat you here at Lumen Field?
Well, Cam Akers is back. Darrell Henderson is out. So he went out on IR after Jamal Adams made that tackle like the 1 yard line. So he sprained his ankle and was put on IR. So, but we have Cam Akers back, and he's full practice. So he's 100% with his high ankle sprain that he had against the Jets. And then Andrew Whitworth, our left tackle, he will be back. And so he went out the first game we played. Remember, he was carted off, and he had some tears to PCL, ACL, all that. And he rehabbed, and he's going to be back. Hopefully he'll be 100%. And, that's an all-pro left tackle coming back. Granted, his fill-in, Joe Noteboom, played fairly well, but obviously not as good as Andrew Whitworth. So, having those two guys is a big deal. And to me, this game is more than Wolford and Goff for the Rams. It's the offensive line, and it's creating holes on the ground because the Seattle defense is great against the run. Your pass rush has been great. So it's really the offensive line holding up. And we have Andrew Whitworth back in this game. David Edwards, our left guard, has been limited in practice. So we'll see what he does today. But it's really the offensive line. In terms of defense, I think we have everyone same from the last matchup. But in terms of offense, that's really where we're at. So, the Rams actually had 118 yards on the ground in the last game we played, and I'll take that if we have that again. But yeah, the offensive line really has to get some push, but your defensive line is really stout. And, Dunlap has been amazing, and Adams is, crazy. And Reed, I don't know if Jaron Reed is going to play in this game. That would be huge if he can't make it. So any news on that front?
Jaron Reed and Rashad Penny they both got banged up that last game along with Jamal Adams. They are questionable. So they have not, the last I saw, there's no set ruling. It might be a game time decision. So yeah, we got three guys who are a little bit in question. I think Jamal Adams more likely will, like I said, will play. Jaron Reed, I think, is a little less likely at this point. And don't really know the status of Rashad Penny. So, again, game time decision. So we'll find out probably around the same time that we find out which quarterback is playing for you guys. I know if I said Sunday, on Saturday, tomorrow. So let me ask you, let me flip it around from your perspective. From a Rams fan perspective, what are you most concerned about when the idea of having to face Seattle again, and that you already just mentioned Jamal Adams, but is there any other aspect besides Jamal Adams of what you are concerned most when it comes to facing the Seahawks? Who scares you the most? What's your biggest concern?
Well, I mean, normally I would say Russell Wilson, but I really have the utmost faith in the Rams defense, especially against Russell Wilson, because the Rams defense has played Russell Wilson pretty good, like, ever since. But especially this year, I'm not really too hesitant on Jalen versus DK. I think really Darius Williams versus Tyler Lockett. Lockett is always he's probably one of the most underrated receivers in football. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy, that you saw in the first game. Russell Wilson didn't throw to DK because of Jalen. So he threw to, Lockett where Darius Williams was, and Darius Williams had 2 picks. And then he almost had a pick 6 in that last game, the very beginning.
Should have.
And that was going to Lockett too. So I feel like that's going to be, in terms of dangerous, I think Tyler Lockett's burned the Rams a lot, especially when we had Marcus Peters. He got behind him like every game. So Tyler Lockett to me is probably the guy, because we all know Russell, but the Rams have kept Russell Wilson in check for the most part. It's Tyler Lockett. And then on the defense, I don't know. I mean, to me, Jamal Adams is everything for you guys, especially in this matchup. I mean, I rewatched the highlights of the last game, and I mean, not only did he save a touchdown by coming all the way around and tackling Darrell Henderson, but he put Darrell Henderson on the IR. He blew up, I don't know how many other plays. I mean, it's just like he was wrecking everything. The first game, he caused a fumble from Jared Goff in the pocket, and it's just Jamal Adams. I mean, I'm trying to think, but I guess I'd say Tyler Lockett, and I'd say Jamal Adams if I had to go 1-1, because Russell Wilson magic always seems to kind of happen, but I don't know. I just feel like the Rams pass rush we've sacked Russell Wilson 11 times this year.
Yeah. No, it's you guys have definitely. If Russ was cooking in the early part of the season, well, you were like the fire extinguisher, dumping on the stove of whatever he was trying to get going. So Russell's definitely had his struggles. But again, this is. I think what's different for us in this game is, for one, we got our full offensive line back. We haven't had the whole 5 guys playing together since the beginning of the year. And when we had those 5 guys playing together, we had more scoring output, and we were 5-0 when we had the full offensive line. So that's one thing that we haven't had the last time that we played you guys. Second of all, we got a healthy Chris Carson. That's huge in every aspect, I think. I think Russell Wilson is better when he's got a good running back, and he's not just got a good running back, but he's got Rashad Penny aside, a pretty good stable of guys behind him, and I think that's going to be critical for Seattle to not have to put Russ under that pressure of having to be susceptible to the pass rush that you guys are so good at. You just aforementioned talked about. So I think that's a big one, and then really the defense. The defense, as you know, because last time we played you, we didn't give up a touchdown to you guys, and granted it was by the skin of our teeth, but still held you to 3 field goals to 9 points. So the defense is nothing like they were the first half of the season. And the turnaround from a last place defense, literally last place in the NFL, to close to tops in a 16-game span is pretty amazing, even for us as Seahawks fans. And there are plenty of Seahawks fans who are ready to fire Ken Norton and dump every part of this defense out the door, who are eating crow right now because of the change that they've made. So that's been pretty amazing. So give me your keys to this game, man. If I guess the way you can finish it is the Rams will win this game if. And before you do that, hold on. While you're digesting your thoughts, I got to shout out Chef Jack Attack, one of my great supporters in New York, a 12-year-old chef who's a lot of fun. He was in the super chat earlier. Said, "I'm a little nervous, but anyway, you got this." So thank you, man. We'll see what happens. But Chef Jack Attack, thank you. All right. So again, fill in the blanks. The LA Rams will win this game
if they win the turnover battle. So I look at that game, the last game, it was if Goff doesn't throw that interception, then the Rams at least get a field goal, or maybe they waste some more time off the clock, and then they kick a field goal, and Seattle doesn't go down and score a field goal right before the half. So that was critical. So, and that's been the case for the Rams. Turnovers. If they don't turn it over, then they really put themselves in a great position. The first game the Rams won against Seattle, Jared Goff for 300 yards, but no touchdowns, but no turnovers. Or maybe he had that fumble, that Jamal Adams strip. But you know what I mean. Like if it's not a stupid Jared Goff throwing it away. So I think it's the turnover thing, and I think it's also which offensive line between the Seahawks and the Rams controls, because both of our defenses are like 3 and 4 against the run. So like they're both lights out against the run. So whichever team can establish more of a run, that's kind of my 1B, if you will. So yeah. What about you? The Seahawks will win this game if.
Well, you stole my first one, and the turnover battle. We have to win the turnover battle, and I can say it with definitive reason for it. I'm not sure what your guys' turnover battle ratio was to wins or losses, but for us, every time we won the turnover battle, we won. Every time we lost it, we lost. So we lost. So no matter what, we have to win that. It is essential to a victory for Seattle. So I'm with you on the step number 1. Number 2, I do believe you kind of alluded to it, but we've got to run the ball. I just said Chris Carson. We've been saving Chris Carson. I feel like has been on this pitch count all season, because they've been saving him for this game. That is why they didn't rush him and try to get 100 yards to him every game. That's why they don't give him 25, 30 carries, because they're saving him for this game. They didn't renew his contract for a long term. They have nothing there's nothing invested to protect or anything with Chris Carson now. So they need to take all the shackles off, whatever they've been holding back on. This is where they need to unleash, pardon the pun, from beast mode, from beast mode, all due respect, but they got to unleash the beast in Chris Carson, because there is no reason to not let him go off. And I feel like if they can get him going and let Russell Wilson have a balanced rushing attack with Chris Carson. Russell Wilson is actually a better quarterback when he's not cooking in the sense of trying to throw the ball 35, 40 times, and for 350 yards. He's actually a better winning quarterback when he's throwing 25 to 30 times for around 250 yards. That has been a much more successful winning formula, because what that means is they're running the ball, and it means their defense is limiting the opponent to what happened last time. More field goals, not too many touchdowns. So that would be my second one. And the last one for me, it's been our Achilles heel all year, and it's third down. We have not been a good third down team on both sides of the ball. We've been better on defense on third down, but we have not been good on the offensive side with third down. So they need to set up a better third down situation, like into third and longs, and they've got to convert better than 50%, because I think we're sub 50% for the year, and that's not going to get it done in the playoffs. So if we could do all those things, and it's just a short list. I mean, I'm not asking that much, but if we can do all those things, I feel like we can squeak away with a win here. So I'm gonna get my score prediction, and I want to get yours. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that my third thing would be red zone conversions for the Rams, because against you, 3 field goals. Game after that, Arizona, we had 3 field goals. So we haven't scored an offensive touchdown in the last 2 games. So the Rams, and the Seahawks had that goal line stand, prevented a touchdown. Against Arizona, we were 0 for 2. We had another goal line situation. Penalties knocked us back, so we didn't score a touchdown. So the Rams need to score touchdowns in this game, and I feel like whoever
all
hits
participants
20
are
points,
muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I know that whoever scores 20 points first will most likely be the winner of this game, or whoever scores 20 points will most likely be the winner. I think that's where this game is trending. It's going to be a low-scoring affair.
I am totally with you. I'm totally with you on that. So let me hear what your score prediction, if you have one, for this game.
Well, I'm just thinking of one right now. So I think this is going to be a 20-16 Rams win.
Wow.
Although the Rams have not scored a touchdown in 2 weeks, they will score 2 in this game. Makes no sense, but that's where I'm going.
Okay. Well, I think you and I are similar in our keys. I think we're on the same page as far as the type of game we're going to have. I think it's going to be, like you said, I think this will be a game where we're going to, in traditional fashion, start slow, probably even fall behind by a small margin in the beginning. And then the second half, we finally get going, take the lead. And then in the fourth quarter, it's like, hang on, please, God, keep them out of the end zone type of thing. And maybe it might be even down to a game-winning field goal by Jason Myers, who's been perfect all season. Oh, God, I hope I didn't just jinx him just now. But my thought is this game finishes the Seahawks on top of the Rams 23-17. That is my prediction.
Not bad. I mean, that still has the Rams scoring 2 touchdowns, so I can take it. And also, the Rams, the Seahawks better have the lead at halftime, or better not be trailing at halftime, because McVay's like 35-0 when leading at halftime. And I just jinxed him.
Well, wouldn't it be amazing if we had the power to just say a few words and completely change the game?
Oh, man.
Yeah, Sean McVay is undefeated when he's leading at halftime. I just jinxed him. It's over now. It's going to fall apart
I need
now.
to start saying, like, oh, wow, I just remembered I invested a bunch in Bitcoin.
Yep. Well, at least you actually have some control over what happens there with what you decide to do. But when it comes to our own team, I love the fact that we think our words can actually change the outcome of a game. But who knows? Again, if you guys want to call in, we do have some people on hold on the line to take some calls from you guys. There is a phone number on here. You can call 515-606-5121. Punch in the code 696-153. And we got some people already in the Discord ready to take questions. Trent, are you ready to hear from the audience?
Let's do it.
All right. And Chef Jack Attack in the Super Chat says his prediction is Seahawks 17, Rams 13 in an even lower scoring affair. So we'll see. I think a lot of people are expecting this to be a low scoring game all over across the board. So let's go to Discord first, and let's see. Let's go to Dominic 2020. He's got the Washington football team logo on here. But Dominic, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Trent, can you hear him?
I can.
Okay. All right. What's your question, Dominic?
Okay, so coach for the Rams.
I don't think he's necessarily a coach. I don't think he's a coach per se. Are you a coach? You're not Coach Trent, are you?
I'm older than McVay, actually.
Sorry about that.
But that's okay. He is our Rams behind enemy lines expert today. But go ahead. You're sorry to interrupt you. Your question.
Okay, so do you think the Rams could possibly beat Seattle if they could step up their offense a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I think the Rams defense is strong enough to hold Seattle relatively in check, but the Rams offense really has been the weak part of the team. So if they can do anything and score a couple touchdowns, then I think it gives them a good chance to win.
All right. Good question. Let's go to the phone line this time. Let's go to Lewis. I believe this is our Kansas City fan. Let me get him on the line here. Let's see. Where is that here?
All participants are unmuted.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. Is this Casey Sportsnerd? Lewis, you there? Uh-oh. We might have a line issue. All right, well, we'll get back to you in a second. Let's go to... That's okay. Let's go back to the Discord. Let's go to Dylan... Or actually, we'll go to Chef Jack Attack since he's been blowing up the Super Chat today. He had an early one, and he's got another one here. We got another Super Chat from Alina Dahl saying, Trent, are you a Cleveland Rams, first L.A. Rams, St. Louis Rams, or second L.A. Rams fan? It's like your team can't decide where it belongs. Go Hawks. That's a good question, though. I mean, you got a long history of teams that have existed in multiple locations, twice in the same city. How long have you been following them? And do you have, I guess, a certain connection to the team as to which city they were in when you first got involved with the Rams? That's a good question, Alina.
Well, I'm old, but not old enough to be a Cleveland Rams fan. So they relocated to LA, I think, in the 40s. And stayed in LA until they moved in 1994 to St. Louis. So I was a Rams fan as a kid in the 80s. And so I went to games when they played in Anaheim and saw Jerome Bettis and Jim Everett and Flipper Anderson and all those guys. So I stayed with them when they were in St. Louis, stayed with them when they came back. So it was great. And also the Rams, they've been moving all over the place, but it's kind of crazy how storied of a franchise they are. They're the first franchise to paint on their helmet with the Rams horns. They integrated with the first black player ever. They had the first drafted the first gay player. They had the first male cheerleader. They were in a game that had an all-black officiating squad. So the Rams, even though they've been all over the place, they usually are at the cutting edge. And I've been around for all of it, except for the
Cleveland days. You'd be a heck of a lot older if you were around for that one. But it's funny you mentioned the helmet, because when I was a kid, my dad, I can't remember why we even have it, but we actually have one of those original LA Rams helmets with the white horn on it. I actually had one of those with the old school double bar face mask that they used to wear back in the late 70s. So that was one of the first ones I had in my house. My dad had this collection of these little mini helmets of the entire NFL, but then we had this one LA Rams helmet. I never knew why we had that particular team, but we did. And here we are playing you guys in a very important playoff game here. All right, so let's. Cool helmet, Norb. It's a cool look. I got to be honest though, man, and I'm going to get your take. I'm not a big fan of the logo that they changed to this year or the uniform colors. I don't know. It's a weird color combo. The kind of beigey, whitish look. I'm not a big fan, man. I like the original, the blue with the stark yellow, and I was even okay with the St. Louis version, was a little more gold and stuff like that. But I don't know. Do you like the new look? I guess you kind of have to because they're your team, but I'm not crazy about the whole thing. I mean,
Rams fan base is also split on that. A lot of people hate them. A lot of people love them. I like them. I wouldn't say that I love them, but I like them. And I like the all white, the bone. It's called Bone. It's a brand new color that they had to get permission from the NFL to use. But I actually like it. They mix up the color combos all the time. So like almost every game, it's a different. It's like the royal blue pants with the bone top, or the yellow top with the blue pants, or the yellow bottom with the bone. I mean, it's like the combos are all over the place, and they're actually testing these in a way and getting all the fan reactions. And then they're going to roll out a new uniform. Really, I think next year and the one after that. So they're kind of like. I'm kind of with
Alina. I think the Rams have an identity crisis. They can't decide what they want to wear. They can't decide what city they're going to be in. Come on, man, just stick with something and make up your mind, for crying out loud.
I know. Well, they just started a brand when the SoFi and the new uniforms. It's all like a total new rebrand. So,
that stadium, man. I'm sure one of these days I'm going to get to go to that stadium, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. You got an image of it back behind you right there. But, man, talking about a multi-billion-dollar extravagant place. I mean, that thing looks awesome. So can't wait for the day I'll get to see a game in there.
Let's get a Seattle game there next year.
Yeah. Once they open things back up, it'll be fun to check out. So another super chat from Music V Lone says, my question, do you think Kupp plays a big role in this game? He always does, in my opinion. I think Seattle's upgraded defense will step up big. Prediction 28-14. I like that sound. But what do you think? Is Kupp going to be a big factor? He usually is. Yeah, annoyingly so.
Kupp, okay, here's what I want everyone to do. When the Rams have the ball and it's third down, it's going to Cooper Kupp. Like the majority of the third down conversions go to Cooper Kupp. He is Jared Goff, especially if it's Jared Goff in there. He's a safety blanket every time third down.
And I don't understand why they don't see that, because I'm yelling at the screen, cover Kupp, he's getting the ball. And then sure enough, drop Kupp back, throws 8-yard pass, Cooper Kupp for the slant. It's like, come on, guys, I could have seen that coming. I guess it's easier said than done just because you know it's coming. But yeah, I'm with you, man. He drives me crazy. He's just always there. You know, he's a local guy from Washington State, man, from Eastern Washington. Yeah. So anyway, I hope we can shut him down. So Chef Jack Attack in the super chat says, can we get on? He's going to be on next on the phone on the Discord line. So Chef Jack Attack from New York, what you got, man?
Hello, Norb. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Nervous as hell about this game tomorrow, but excited.
Me too. I'm happy it's a Saturday game, that's for sure. But I'm scared. I'm about the exact same thing as you. Like I said, I think the Seahawks might win, but I also think the Rams might win. So last year we were in the wild card versus the Eagles, and I wasn't really worried about that game. Like, even though it came pretty close, I really wasn't worried. I kind of knew that we were going to win that game. But for this year, I'm 50-50, because let's say if Jared Goff plays and he just plays pretty well, nothing great, if he plays pretty well, the Rams are probably going to win. Now, if he does not play well, then I don't know if they have a great chance. And if he doesn't play at all, that can be pretty game-changing. Like, the Seahawks will definitely have a better chance if Jared Goff does not play. Not saying Jared Goff is some all-star, but I'm also saying, though, that he is pretty important to that team. So I'm a little nervous if Jared Goff plays and does well. And it's going to come down to the wire.
Care to respond to that comment, Trent?
Man, he knows what he's talking about. Like, that's that sums it all up right there. I mean, I feel, if the Seahawks win this game, I'm not going to be surprised. You know, so this game really can go either way. And I think it's just, if you are a Rams fan, you're leaning Rams. If you're Seahawks, you're going to lean Seahawks because you just have that faith. But, you know, if Goff comes in and just doesn't melt down, you know, it's almost like sometimes I feel like I don't know what's going on in Goff's head sometimes. So if he can just keep it laser focused, then I think we're fine. You know, that caller knew what they were talking about.
Yeah. Chef Jack Attack, he's a pretty sharp kid. Again, he's only 12. I think he's only 12 years old, and he has his own YouTube cooking show and wants to be a professional chef. I mean, that's how much he knows what he's laser focused on what he wants to do. Hopefully Goff will be laser blurred and not focused on tomorrow, and will be throwing to the guys in blue. Actually, I don't even know what uniform we're wearing. I'm assuming we're wearing home blues, but yeah, hopefully he throws more balls to the other team. That would make me very happy. Alina Dahl again with the super chat, one of my moderators. She says, closest LA ever came to having an NFL franchise prior to 2016 was the Seahawks in March of 1996. So you all could be Seahawks fans. LOL, go Hawks. I don't know if you're aware of that, Trent. You probably are if you know the history, but back in 1996 when the Seahawks were temporarily moved, the owner Ken Behring tried to move the Seahawks to Los Angeles to make them the Los Angeles Seahawks, and fortunately, we turned that thing around, and my friend Mark Collins had a big hand in that. And then Paul Allen, of course, came in to save the day, built a new stadium, and they stayed here. But a little bit of history there during the time when Los Angeles did not have a football franchise for a long stretch of time. Do you remember that time when the Seahawks almost moved to Los Angeles?
No, I was not even aware of that. That's a good little piece of information right there. Because I remember when Houston got the expansion franchise and LA was one of the finalists for that. But no, I was not aware. And I'm glad. I like it when teams stay where they're from. And, that's why I feel like the Rams in LA, it's good. I'm glad they're back because they were in LA for like 50 years before they went to St. Louis. So, they are kind of even though they're from Cleveland first, they still spent 50 years in LA. So it's like, I wish the Chargers were in San Diego still. So.
Oh yeah. I still trip up and say San Diego Chargers because I grew up as a kid with our team in the AFC West. So San Diego is just one of those names that we always constantly had troubles with. Well, we had trouble with pretty much every team in the AFC West back then. But San Diego was a force to be reckoned with. Dan Fouts and company and Eric Coryell and those guys. So, yeah, it's weird I still say Los Angeles Chargers. And the fact that you guys are still in the same building is still getting something to get used to. But, we're getting close to the time. It's about 2:45. Let's maybe take two more calls and probably get things wrapped up. So I'm going to go to the I'm having some issues with the phone line. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to have to go to Discord, and let's go to Nick LeBeau, one of the moderator staff members of Discord. He's always got good stuff going on here. So, Nick LeBeau, you got a question for our guest, Trent?
Yeah, what's up? How are you guys doing? And my question is, I don't know if you answered it earlier in the show. I kind of came into the stream a bit late, but who would you rather have, and who do you think at quarterback that would give you a better opportunity to take the win?
Yeah, you did address this, one of the first things we talked about, but you can repeat it because I bet there's some other people who came in here probably a little bit late in the show, didn't hear your take on your preference for the quarterback side. So for the record, again, all things being equal, I guess, who do you want to see behind center tomorrow? Russell
Wilson. Can we have Russell Wilson?
No, you cannot. Stay away from my Russell.
No, I mean, if Goff is healthy, let's just say his thumb is healthy, that's not an issue, then I'd probably go with Goff just because he's been to a Super Bowl before. He's played in big games. I don't think he's too fazed by that. And if he can throw the ball and just limit the turnovers, I think he'll be fine. However, if Wolford does end up playing and Goff is injured, then I feel good with Wolford just because he can scramble and he's throwing the ball deeper than Goff did. So he brings a different element to the game, and he's also super composed. I think if anyone here wants to go to the Rams website and just look at the press interviews with John Wolford, he's one of the most composed guys you'll ever see. Like, he's 25, but he's like serious and just like focused. And I think that's why they have a lot of confidence in him. And when he threw a pick in the first play against Arizona, the first offensive play, he threw an interception. And then they showed him on the sidelines and people were going up and he's like, no, man, I'm good. And the rest of the game, he was great. So I think I guess if Goff's good to go, I go with Goff. But if he isn't, then I feel okay with Wolford as well.
Yeah. And I got the coach from Coach's Corner, Bill Marsh, is in the chatting away there. And I know we did a breakdown. I know Coach Marsh wants what you want, which is to have Jared Goff playing in this game because he is very nervous about what John Wolford can do, breaking down a lot of the plays that he made. So I'm kind of in his camp. He's kind of convinced me that I'm afraid of the wild card not the wild card game, but the wild card that is John Wolford, because, man, that dude can run, and that's a scary thought. We know that that is not the strength of Jared Goff. So, I got to ask you something. Jared Goff, it's funny because, again, what Jared Goff is now is so wild, because in that year that they went to the Super Bowl, wasn't that the year that they had that big shootout game against Kansas City? It was like 50,000 points to 48,000. I mean, everybody thought, defense is gone in the NFL. The game has changed forever. And during that time, remember, he was throwing deep balls all over the place. And it seems to me, unless I'm missing something, what happened to that deep ball throwing Jared Goff? Because it seems like now he's just more game managing, short throws, crossing routes, and all that kind of stuff. Did that just go away? What happened to the deep ball threat that it seemed like that was blowing up in that season?
That's a very complex question with a complex answer, but I'll boil it down to just a couple things. In 2017 and 18, when he had his best years, their offensive line was together every game in both of those seasons. And they had Roger Saffold and John Sullivan and Blythe and Havenstein and Andrew Whitworth. So their offensive line was like a top 5 offensive line, and no one was ever injured. So you look at those games, you just look at any highlight from back then, and like seriously, no one ever touches Goff. There's no he just sits there and he lets Cooks and Kupp and Woods and Sammy Watkins, even the year before, basically they had the time to just go way down the field, and then he just had the time to pick them apart. And then on top of all that, you have a fully healthy primetime Todd Gurley in the mix, and the world was completely different. Then Todd Gurley's knee goes down. They lose Roger Saffold last year. John Sullivan retires at center. The offensive line is one of the worst in football. Todd Gurley's pretty much non-existent. And when it's all on Jared Goff and he doesn't have time to throw the ball down the field, but he's still trying to do it, then things start kind of going awry. And then sometimes the mental part comes into it. And then mentally you just, you start making more mistakes, and you're just not seeing it because, you look at Goff and, he beat Kansas City. Gurley didn't play in that game, really. It was all Jared Goff beating Kansas City against New Orleans in the NFC Championship game. Todd Gurley was non-existent. No running game whatsoever. That was a Jared Goff win game. So, he's done it.
Actually, that was a New Orleans Saints win. You guys should not have been in the Super Bowl, my friend. But that's a debate for another time. Shots fired, shots fired. But we'll talk about that another time.
There's a lot of things. It's just weird though now that he doesn't even take any shots downfield, and that's kind of, I think with Rams fans, that's what really pisses them off. It's the turnovers, and dude, just throw it down the field a couple times. Air it out, and just, even if it's incomplete, whatever, just take some shots. So,
yeah. Well, I wanted your point is a perfect transition for me to make one final point before I take our last call. But you mentioned about the line. The line was the reason why Goff could stand back there and cook in his way. Jared cook because he had the line that gave him the time to cook all those ingredients back there behind the kitchen, And once that went away, so did the cooking time. And again, that reminds me to bring to this point, which I want to shine for all Seahawks fans to feel a bit of more confidence in a name that I'm sure in a game that everybody's nervous about. We have our starting 5 of the offensive line, which we had the most scoring points when that line was intact, and we were 5-0 with that group of 5 players. So to bring up to your point, that is one of the big reasons why I feel a boost of confidence in this game for tomorrow, which makes me just a little less nervous than I would normally be without them. So that's another thing that we should be very happy about. All right, one more question, and then we'll have to wrap things up. So we're going to go to Rishi H. No stranger to the show, a big fan of the show. Appreciate Rishi. Rishi, you got the last question. What you got?
Hi there. So, for the Rams, so Trent, so if the defense for the Rams is stepping up, when you played them in week 16, we got 20 points against the Rams defense. If they step up and do better than they did against week 16, and maybe more likely to do against week 10 when it was in SoFi, would the Rams win? They have a better chance of winning.
Yeah, I think the Week 10 performance is really the one because that's where they picked Wilson off twice, and Wilson didn't have a touchdown. So I think that's the Week 10 performance is really where their defense needs to be. Granted, the Week 16 performance wasn't bad, but it's because I think the reason why Seattle scored 20 was more of a reflection of the Rams' offensive ineptitude. Like, it was always on the defense to make the plays when the offense wasn't giving them any help. So if the offense can give just a little bit of help, I feel like the defense will play like it did in Week 10. And I don't know if anyone here, the Seahawks fans, heard when after the Rams beat Arizona, they asked the reporters do those interviews where like they're sitting in the first row of the stand and the players like way down there, and they were talking to Aaron Donald and they said, okay, so it looks like you'll be playing Seattle in the first round next week. And Aaron Donald said, that's what we wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. And it made me think like that the Rams defense is all in. Like they are all like, if the offense played like had the spirit and the fire that the defense has, then I'd feel much better because Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and Leonard Floyd and Michael Brockers and Derek, like those dudes are going all in. So I think the defense will be more like Week 10. To answer, that was a good question. Thank you. I think it'll be more like Week 10. And we'll see. But we'll see what Seattle does with DK. Maybe they try some new things that really helps them kind of break out. So I'm not sure, Norb, how you feel about the usage of DK and what they could do maybe to get more action there, or just kind of use them as a decoy and really work the Lockett and Moore and Carson angles.
Well, I certainly would love to see DK get some big catches and break out. I think it's unrealistic to expect him to go from being relatively shut down to suddenly having 10 or 15, receptions, which would be completely contrast to what has happened during this season. So I would like to just see him get a few plays just to get him going early. But the reality is, again, by the record, whenever Russell actually spreads the ball around to multiple receivers, where it's not just one guy going off, but a little bit to DK, a little bit to Tyler Lockett, and he gets his tight ends involved, and the second or the third and fourth receivers, like 9 receivers catching balls, we usually end up winning the game. So I would rather see a bunch of receivers get a pretty good number of yards and catches than have the plan to try to force feed the ball to DK just to get him going, because that could be a recipe for disaster if, 1 or 2 plays, the ball gets, sailed on or well covered. Jalen Ramsey, you guys have a good secondary. And why play into their hands when you can actually utilize the other guys who they're not keying on? So that's my feeling. Again, I don't need someone to be sort of like the big hero. I would rather just have a bunch of team effort guys on the offense. Again, starting with the running game, get that going, and then Russ just doing enough with a bunch of different guys in support to get the win. And again, this is going to be a low-scoring game. We agree on that. That means 3 touchdowns or 2 and a couple field goals is probably what it's going to take to win the game. So It doesn't have to require some guy going off for 150 yards catching. 50 yards for DK Metcalf might be enough.
Yeah, and I think for your offense, this is going to be the Greg Olsen, Disley, Hollister like combo game. I think your tight ends are actually going to get some good action in this game.
And we have Greg Olsen back. He didn't play last week, and Greg Olsen has been out for a while with injury, but I believe they saved him when he made that miraculous comeback from his foot injury to be back before the end of the season in time for playoffs. This is probably Greg Olsen's last season, unless he decides he wants to put off his broadcasting career one more year. But this is probably it. So, let's utilize it. I'm sure he wants to try to make the most of his last year here, and if he can get a couple of great third down conversions and maybe a touchdown in there, that's perfect. It sets up another opportunity next week to continue down the road. So I'm with you there. I'll try to cut you off, but yeah, tight ends have been key all year, and Coach Marsh of Coach's Corner alludes to that, especially Jacob Hollister. I know that's kind of his favorite guy, but that is one area I think that quietly is one of the best units on the offense that have been consistent all year round. So I'm with you there.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like there's always it's always a tight end. With Seattle, there's always like Hollister scored that touchdown against the Rams last game. So I feel, and Russell Wilson scrambled one in, and that's kind of what the Seahawks are. So at this point, the beginning of the year, it was all the air show, but now it's the grinded out underneath kind of stuff. So I expect a big day from your tight ends as well.
Well, we'll see. In less than 24 hours, this game will be rolling. So we'll see where things end up, man. I'm as a fan, just as a football fan in general, you got to love this game. This is just a great matchup. As a Seahawks fan, I wish we weren't playing you guys because I don't like the idea of playing a division opponent 3 times in a year. But it is what it is. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm going to be nervous up to the last second of this game. But I'm cautiously, optimistically confident. Is that a word? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
that we can get the win. But it's going to be real nail-biting time, I think, in this game, man. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, and we don't, like you said, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be for the win. So if Wolford's in there, it's going to be everyone's going to be like, what do we expect? We have no idea. With Goff, kind of, but with Wolford, it's going to be. It's such a huge mystery, which is really cool. I kind of actually like this. And here's a nickname for you that I think the Rams fans have settled on for most of them settled on for Wolford is we call him the Wolf of Ball Street. So there you go. The Wolf of Ball Street. Last thing I'll say,
that's funny.
There's an anecdote like halfway through the season, Aaron Donald is leaving the practice facility like pretty late and he sees John Wolford just like walking it over to like throw more balls, and he's just like twirling a ball, and holding his helmet like a kid. And Aaron Donald's like, see you. He's like, hey, see you, AD. And AD's like, wow, this guy is just like, just twirling a ball, going to go throw some more balls and just loving it. So I think there's such a good spirit around Wolford, and the guys really like him. And so if he plays, look out for the Wolf of Ball Street.
Well, it'll be interesting, especially given that you've got a Jared Goff quarterback who's getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, and you might be being led into battle by the Wolf of Ball Street. We'll see what happens, man.
Even though Goff makes a lot of money, we're still going to trade him for Deshaun Watson, guys.
I thought San Francisco was going to make that trade. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens, man. There's a lot of talk out. Deshaun Watson not happy over there in Houston. I guess one thing we should be fortunate about is at least our head coaches don't have COVID, so both of our head coaches will be there at the game. Poor Cleveland, man. What the heck?
Oh, man.
Talking about bad luck. But, hey, man, so before we sign off, because we're about to wrap things up, I got to give you a chance to tell everybody a little bit about your show, what you got going on. So take this moment to let everybody know who doesn't know about you, where they can find you, and what your show is about.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, I really appreciate you having me on, Norb. The fans you have in the chat are really, really nice. It wasn't, they didn't come after me too hard. So you can find me on Instagram at LA Rams Talk and Twitter, Real LA Rams Talk, and YouTube, LA Rams Talk. Pretty much you just type LA Rams Talk into like anything and there I am. You got any videos coming up today or tomorrow? Are you doing anything live? What you got going between now and tomorrow? I'll probably do a post-game live stream tomorrow, which will be probably you'll be doing a post-game as well. I dropped a game preview video yesterday, so if you want to just get my full 25-minute take on the game, head over to my YouTube channel, LA Rams Talk, or Rams Talk, and you can check it out. All right, and I believe I have the links in the description as well, so you can, if you can't see it right here, you can go down to the description and find it there. So before I sign off, I got to say once again, thank you to Daniel Dovin of Dovin Real Estate. Big thank you to you, man. We'll actually be talking later this afternoon
about his connection with me and the Seattle, being a Seattleite here, and some of his memories of the Seahawks growing up as well. So look for that in a later video. But if you are looking to buy or sell a house here in the Seattle area, there you go. Dovin Real Estate, 206-310-3362. There's his contact information. You can find all of this in the description as well. So go check him out and watch our video later this afternoon at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, where we'll be talking a little bit about Seahawks history and our bond together and what brought him to collab with me as a partner for the rest of this 2020 season. So, Trent, thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time of the day. And people may not know this, but you're a LA Rams fan, but you're all the way over the other side of the world in Germany, where you guys are, 9 hours ahead?
Yeah, it's midnight.
So it's a late time. So I appreciate you staying up late. It's a Friday night, but you could be doing any other crazy thing at this time, but you took the time to be on my show. So I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate the insight and the walk down some, historic memory lanes of the Rams of old and the Rams of Seahawks days. And so we'll see what happens tomorrow, man. It's going to be a pretty exciting game. So good luck to you.
I appreciate you having me on, like I said. And, I'll be watching the game, and I'll be up to 3 a.m. Sunday morning watching this game, but it's all good because it's Sunday. I'm so glad it's a Saturday game and not a Sunday game, because then I'd be useless at work. So, thanks for having me on, Norb. You've been great. And maybe one of these days you can just give us all a little guitar jam session.
Yeah, man. I do a lot of music videos on my channel, and I think on occasion busted out the guitar, but I might have to do some live thing, just dust that sucker off and actually play some 80s keyboard solo on the guitar just for you, man. So all right, so before I sign off, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the NORBFAM members. The MVP is Nick LeBeau, Anthony D, Jesse Duckface, Ryker Rockstar, NINJA-CRK, and the All Pros Maria Maraj, Jason E, Casey Sportsnerd, and Aidan Pham. Thank you for being part of the NORBFAM family. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hit that sub button. Check out Trent's stuff on social media and his YouTube channel, and join my live stream tomorrow when me and my dad will be doing our usual watch party reactions of this game live. Join us to see our crazy reactions to this game. Hopefully they'll be happy ones when all is said and done, and hopefully moving forward in the playoffs. But until then, we'll play the game. Good luck, Trent. It's been fun. And to everybody else, have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Go Hawks.
Go Rams.
Shh.